tule alfa talo foile pe imal mamalo le tatu tunu ya ilato mfene mo mail fa popongo le tatu proklama o fa aswa faina le Outou Manuia olo o tu sa watu le tatu fale fasalau Long Beach, California, le United States of America ile ungalima vavala lata masi ufonga le tau for Radio Samoa olo to ono Misipouena Tagaloa lo fa foina le tatu proklama le nefiafi ia ma le fionga le whaatonu ia tula epa whaafutaisu o lo whengai ma le IT. Ia pēla mo na masani e tātou, mo mōna tātou a vela whaatue i le tua mas i whaile fisili. Ia pe e sea ua sala i le laolo na whina ngalo i o tātou tangata, e sea ua filfilia whapitoa i tangata Samoa i se ngaluenga whapitoa. Ia e pe e sea fo i ua mawali nei awanoa tātou te mafuta i le nei malu o le tua le i whai e lima. Ia whanu no mailo wao, mafuta mailo mauli. O lau te ina le tātou mafutanga i le talo, tātou ifo ma talo i le tua. Ona o awanoa le au maua e pe o le nei, mātou te abatuel whaafutai i lau o fio. Ono le fawina o le nei malu o lau o fio e le i whaia e lima. E na whaia i manatu. Mātou te abatu e le whaaftai ma le whaatu e i a te oe. Ono teimi whaavanoa ina whoio i mātou ma i latou mātou te mafuta i lungo le nei awala. Mātou te whaaftai ailo suafa. Wa a mātou mafau i lava yaso taru mai o na mātou mafuta. Te le suinga o le olanga. Pawe fo il ta avili o le lolangi. Iwa sui fo i la tō mai mātou nei. A o lawa fio e tu maupea. O na nafi o le so la se i o tu lava i le whawavau. Me lea mātou te avatu e la mātou whaatue i a te oe, la mātou whaamua, la mātou whaaftai ma le whaanetanga. Wai whaumatia lo mātou whalepitanga whaaletino. Ia tu maupea lawa fio. O lo mātou malu, o lo mātou papa, o lo mātou whalepitanga whaaleanganga whaavavau. Ta talo a ise si o mafuta mai le nei proklama mani e venga mamafa. E lo atu ngalu ai lo lātou whina ngalo maloto. O la utatalo le li ie, pe a whai te whaafonga ina sa wala au. Ia whaongaina vaenga uma o le nei mafutanga. E whai ma awala e moli atua i le nei manu nauti a o lo fina ngalo foi. E te fina ngalo alofa i le tangata. Whaalia le lofo la o fio e ala le soifua o foi nato lo walo i Jesu Keriso. Sa bali lungo le leilo langi, mafuta i tangata. Tu i lalo le whate tai mātou te whate tai umai. Le mātou talo ia maua pēr ni whakeriso ina o mātou wanganga. E alai le nei mafutanga la mātou whaia. Ia nā te talo le li ia fio mai anganga pa ia e tātou malawa fio manu ia ai mea uma mātou te whaia. I le suafo Jesu Keriso lo mātou li imal whaola. Amen.
Semawa o te le ingua I baaya Halai ona o wala au le li E ui wana o se taimi Yesu tali ala tatalo Fa mole po o mana umia oe Nisi taimi te a e ai maunga Nisi taimi e som le basa Nisi taimi e te ui le toafa Ia ola lo uanganga E malo si lo ualofa Gao o mai leleanga O nisi taimi e te a e ai maunga Ia ola lo uanganga Tama mau ma oe Sa o manatu e whai mo fie Ua o se se i o wala Ai o te tau tino nei Na o atuli O aule nei Yesu e tani ia mai O nisi taimi te a e ai maunga O nisi taimi e sole vasa O nisi taimi e te uile toafa Ia ola lo uanganga E malo si lo ualofa Pea o mai leleanga O nisi taimi te a e ai maunga Ia ola lo uanganga O nisi taimi te a e ai maunga Ia ola lo uanganga O nisi taimi te a e ai maunga O nisi taimi e sole vasa O nisi taimi te uile toafa Ia ola lo uanganga E malo si lo ualofa Pea o mai leleanga O nisi taimi te a e ai maunga Ia ola lo uanganga
Ia tue whaatalofa atu i la tātou o tunuu ia i la tau mawhaiona mo me whaapoponga o la tātou pokalama le neva yaso. O whaiolo e whaafonga mai la tātou whaasalaunga i le YouTube, whaamon le omi folau like, lau thumbs up, ia omi whamalau share ia ona tāle o le longo i ne e whailau ma tāwhali le fonga le tāu for Radio Samoa. Vene ava noe whaaftai atua i a tātou sponsors ia i lātou fo i olo o fisoasoani mai i le te penaina o le nei ala leo, le nei whata manu ia a whapefo i lātou olo whenga ima le nei ministry i lewa yaso ma lewa yaso o le tātou sponsor mua o le Second Samoan Congregational Church, United Church of Christ i Long Beach. Le kalisia lea na whawaina ina ua wawai ese mai e kalesia mua lava na iei nei Amerika i la toe le silafia masaro le kalesia mua ta iti lava na Fatu i Amerika ia i le kalesia lea sa Yesu tonu i San Diego. Fasolo mai le kalesia le LA le sa Outou Manuia. Ia vavae mai e lola ia o isi e kalesia na o second Samoan la. Na mata i le hawhiwa sa lau fitu ono. Ina ua maua ngā lue ngā tangata le Shipyard i Long Beach. Ia ona manatu lo lea e whaise kalesia i le City of Long Beach e ese mai nei lo Los Angeles. Ia le la i ele au lotu lea. O le lato let's say whaoloina o le lato whaiwhi au. Ia lo tangata si tulo ia leo mawai lava noe e nofo tuai mawhaila tātou prokalama o Outou Manuia e lewa yaso ma lewa yaso. O le visiona al second Samoan o lo ainga i nei i Fafo Samoa, second Samoan, the Samoan diasporic community in the US. Ia o tātou sponsor lona lua Auntie Mita's Cookies. Mo maliu mas whanau ma whaipoponga. Msos maftanga lava mana o mia i se me sumalie. Ia whafsotai Auntie Mita's Cookies. Ia tātou sponsor lona tolo o Tagaloa tuli whau Foot and Ankle Care Center i Lakewood. Lo ia fo mai o maftanga. Ia o la latou tanga vai, our passion is to keep you walking. Ia o tātou sponsor mulmulio Helen Alo ma Selusi Ulunga Ono. Lo fsosani me pe ia la ainga le Tacoma, Washington. Ia whatu peisi vaenga o la tātou whatu funganga i nei. Me le moli te la tuaila o whaftai, bea iau masui o le fionga le whatonu. Ia mai la tōlo te peneina ia le nei whata manu ma le nei malai. E whaftai atuai ono lo tō langolonga sua i le taumwhainga. Te talo i whatutumu le tua mea o tō whaangao ngao. Ia ono le wala aufo ilo na nganga ilo tō lima whaai. I le nei whata manu. Ia mai le vaiaso o mawai na tātou whaitawina ai le Ioannes Fululima. Whamomoe o le sifulu. O le tala Masani. O le tala i le Vine. Ia le la mai la tuspa ia. Mana ia o le tala le le Vine le leina whaitau le vaiaso o mawai. Ia o te nofo mato se su ele tusi mato e mo ele toa mato e tosi foi. Ia o nei loa la ia le mana ia fionga le tua me whetalainga foi e Yesu Keriso. Malana whatusa i le Vine. Le Ioannes Fululima. Whamomoe le se fulu. Lau whaitawina. O au nei o le vine moni, a o lo tamaa o le ngalue vinia. O la o malava o ia te au e le fua, e avese ina e ia. A o la uma e fua e teu e ia, ina ia fua mai e atili. So pe me mo mola tatu te manatua e le vaiaso o mawai. E pise i e luai tu ai ngā la. O le la e fua. Ia ma le la e le fua. O le la e le fua fe mai e ave seina e le ngalue vine. Ia o na vela isunu a le la e fua fe mai e teu e le ngalue vine. Ina ia fua mai e la tili. O mona wha maina o tō i le upu. Na uta o tuai i a te utou. Ina atu mawia o tō i a te au. O ufo i a te utou. Whape o le lae le mawhai o na fua pe ana o ia. Pe a whai le mau i le vine. E whape fo i o tō pe a whai tō te le tū mau i a te au. Ia pe whengo fia o na tātou mafo whau iso se la au lava e tupu e ala o na te tō le la au. O na tātou te nau i o na fua. Ala o na tātou te tō mango, o na tātou te fia ai mango. A voka, ala o na te tō o na tātou te fia tausami i a voka i o na fua. Ia whamaile li ia whapena fuila au tō, le o la whaale nganga. O a o le ngalua, lo ta mao le ngalua vine, o a o le vine moni, o tō o la la. Lua me whai le lala o le fua. Ia po le fua. Ia whapela le fua ia ona. Ave ese la ia le ngalue vini. Ho unei o le vini. O la o tō. O le tu mau ia te au mau ia te ia. O ia lava e fua tele mai. Wai le mwhaia o tō wana whai o se me tasi pe au le iai. I pe le winga leo o le la ma le vine, o na pale whengai e te tau lava ona pi i le la i le vine. Ia tātou mafo fau ilai e tātou e kalesia ma whala apuputonga e fau. Po afo ilava ia ni tu whatasinga o tangata. Ia te tau waona tātou pipi i le vine. Tauna iei se Misipouena, tauna iei se visiona, e tauna iei se mafo anga e ala i una ola. Ia wa au nolo lamana. Ia ona whaingatala i ona tupu. A whaia le tu mause tasi i a te au. On lafo ina leo o ia tua e peo le lala au. Whapopoina. Whapotopotoina i le tangata ma lafo i le afi. O susunu ai. Le tangata le mau. Le lala le pipi i le vini. Le lala le pese i e le o yeisona fesota inga ma le lawele ele. Le tau whapulaina ia le nā mea sila fia o mai tātou. O le sia analogy mana ia o le analogy leo le tino. Te lo le leilava le tino o whale tonu ala me fu il tai au whale tonu. Ia ona ua le inua whala au, ona ua le lava le exercise, ona ua aitele i tau mawhai le tau na ai, ona ua poloka ala toto. E pe o isina winga o le metaphor lea. O le tātou wa tu lo nofo i nei ma le tātou palewhenga i e tawana iei se teimi e pipi i ele tangata i le tua. Pipi i ele tangata i le pongai o na malosi, le pongai o na whanaunaunga. Pipi i se me langa ina lo na whamoe ola. A wa au normal na. Ia o na taavili ala i o le tangata i le se me tuai. E vi ia lo tamai le nei mea. Pe au tō fua tele mai. O na whai e lea o tō mōso. Whape o na lofa mai o le tamā i a te au. Whape lava o na o alofa atu i a te o tō. Ia tō mau pea o tō i lo o alofa. Ia e pe e fo ia ia whetalenga lea le li. O isi temi o tātou whalongo i ana upu. O peise i o le vine ma la ma fua. O isi fo temi tātou te whalongo atu i lana whetalenga. O peise i o lo whamatala e ia le vāo ia lo na tamā. Ia mo na so. Be whapena le fo ia i o manatu ia. A whaitou te tu. A whaitou te tau sia o polo inga. O na tu maule o tō i lo olofa. I lo olofa. Pe ona o tau sia polo inga la utama. Ma o tu mau i lo na alofa. O lo te maa fau i le vini. E pe e iei teimi e a tuu lava le molecular level. They're all carbon based. E pe e iei le winga le na e tutusa o mai ia le vini, le la, fua, laula au. Pe iei le filo le na e taipe o le DNA o le tangata. E pe se i e whesoota i uma ia, organs, lima, laulu, mata. Po le alawa la le tosi e whao ngā ai ia le vaenga o le tino. Ia e pe olo o ia le fundamental building block o le tino. Le tau e tātou o le DNA. E whapenā fo i la le vine, le la, fua, lau. E peise ia le mera nā so ai, whaatasi o mai ia mena wina ese ia o lātou tau, ese o lātou tino mai, ese o lātou lanu. Ia pise ia le mele na the fundamental building block o le vine. Whamaila le li I mō tangata lava. O le fundamental building block o le lofa. Pise o le mele na Po le alawa I fea le tangata I lona lanu e lau tua I le lofa. Tangata a ita o lo ia e lalu e lofa. Tangata a tau I masui a ene lava o lo ia e lalu le lofa. E pese I o le mea nā lena mana o le li I e tau whaapula I o na so. O le lofa lal nā pese I e te pena e le tū mau, pese I e te pena e le ustai. O pe o elemeni nā e whaawau ai, whaaloloto I nai, tosinini I ai, ma whaamanatu ai I le tangata. Ia lona fausanga. At the very forensic basis of our existence, Jesus said there is this thing called love. O le lofa la le nā e pe o nā lofa mai ai le tamā I a te ia. E mana o le li I e alofa I fo I lis tangata. A whaasolo la le tātou whaitau le Ioane le suli mo le tātou I loa ai la I o le manatu nā o le li. O whaiatu nei me ia te outou. Na ia tu mawelo oli. Ia te outou fo ilo outou oli. O la upolo inga le nei, ia outou whealo whani. Pe ona o lo fatu ia te outou. E pise ia ese le lofa lea lo ta ua e Ioane. Ma le lofa le ta ua e Luka, le ta ua e Mateo. Ese le lofa lea finangalo ia Ioane a lo lofa I tangata. Ma le lofa lea e pise ia whaingata. Ese le lofa lea na lofa ai le leo mamoe I le mamoe tasi ua le iloa. Na ilo le lofa lea mana o Ioane a lo lofa I tangata. I istangata. O le lofa lea o le leo mamoe I le ivasfuru iwa lea na tutohe le pā. Whama Ioane, o le lofa le nā e le lei. O le lofa le nā e pe la talata. In some cases, o le lofa le nā o pito sili o na whaingata. Mana ia o le whaasamoina e dato o le upulea whamai o le whealo whani. Ia o tō whealo whani. E pei o na owalo whaatu ia te outou. So e la manatu o Ioane. O le tusia ia Ioane e pese ia tele ina whaaleanganga. E le manatu Ioane a le lei le tapenaina o le vāwala lata o oe malouso. Le vāwala lata o oe ma tangata e te pipi iai. Tangata e te whaamoe iai. Ia whengata fo ina e alofa I fafo. So tu whawhengai la le tala le ia Ioane ma le tala ni tātou whaitawina I le. I le leo mamoe I o na tātou I loa ai la I o le anomoni o le whetalainga Ioane. La tātou pese lea, se vai tātou foe, se tali le telefoni le po I le wala mai.
Malu
So o tau si unga la o tatou whaapoponga le vea so o mawai. E pese i o lau tuai le winga lea o le lii. I lona pale whengai malon ta maa. Na mana o le lii na ia maua o na so. Lea le winga. O le lofa. O le lofa. Whamai la le lii e le ise lofa e sili le nei. O le ofo i nātu e le tangata o lona ola e su ia ia na uo. I suppose o vai taimi le nā e tā ua le ola. O a masalo le lifespan o le tangata be fase furu a fase furu loa o te le nā tausanga. So mena sa tā ua ai le soifua ma le ola le tangata. Wha pele pele uma tangata i o lato ola ma o lato soifua. Whamai la le lii. E le ise alofa e sili atu. Nei lo le ofo i nātu e le tangata o lona ola e su ia ia na uo. E o whamaila e le li o a uo o tou. O lewo te pena e le li lona alu i le satau o maofo i nātu lona soifua moa na uo. Ona whamailo la i o le li. O tou o a uo. O te le to e ta ua o tou o ni au ona. A wae le i loa e le au ona le me whai e lon matai. A wa uta ua o tou o uo. A wā o mea umalawa o te maua mai lo te maa. O te whaasoa atu ia te utou. Ia, o na whai mailola i o upo le li. O la upolo inga le nei ia te utou. Ia o tou whalawhani. So e pese o polo inga fōle nā. Ia. O le talal nai le vine. Ma o na la. Le vine moni. Ia, ma le e fsota inga fo o le li i malonta mā. Ia e whaapopo i le whaapoponga. Il vea so mawai e so o lau te talo. Ina ia maua pero tatu o tunuu ia mese i lato o lo whaafonga mai. Ia ni nai whaapoponga fo i le tala o le wantatu masani ei. O le temi nei o lo mato i ai le studio ma representative fo i o le faux movement. O le elo lato whamu moe whai lato peace rally i Long Beach me la sus fulu whai li tu la fulu lua. I o le la o maua le awa noe whatala noa ai nisi fo i o te itai o le nei movement. Ia mala uta talo ina i mwhaion tato talo sia le whamu moe tupulanga tala vau. Ia me se fo i ia lisi vaenga le neo tato community. E pei ona tula i mail temi nei. O me la na lata pena le tato studio. Fasolo mai ia ta i o le faux movement tatu tala noa. Ia la tatu pesele to vai ia a tatu foi. Ia o lo tātou whaatasi e tātou studio ma Valentino, lua whalemana mai Carson, ia whapefoi ia junior toa mai Compton. I'm very happy that you're here, Tino.
Thanks for having us.
Thank you.
Sure.
Thank you for having us.
So you got an event that's coming up this Friday. Well, why don't we go around and maybe introduce yourself, tell a little bit tell the audience who you are and where you're from and what brought you here.
Okay, my name is Valentino. My family and friends call me Tino. My homies call me KT. I'm out of Carson, born and raised. Growing up affiliated with the Red Rags, as far as the streets concerned. I'm here today to speak on the movement that we have put together over here in Southern California, from Carson, Compton, Long Beach, Santa Ana, Oceanside, and San Diego. And there's a bunch of different Usos that's come together from different Samoan gangs, and we're just trying to put our heads together to see what we can do, man, to make the future a better future for our kids and our grandkids.
Yeah. Okay. And Junior, you want to introduce yourself and say something about where you're from? And
My name is Kyungo Toa, from Compton, California. With the movement that we got going on, like KT said, it's based on Usos from Southern California, from different areas, different neighborhoods, all throughout Southern California. And our whole movement is bringing and shedding light about, stuff that we went through and trying to get these, our young youth from going down that same road and getting themselves caught up in stuff that they don't really know what's going on until you actually live that life. And we're just trying to shed light on, guiding these kids in a better path and not following in our footsteps as far as going to follow Puipui or end up getting killed on these streets. And that's why we're here.
yeah. So how do you guys plan to do that, right? So if the goal is to get young kids to stay away from gangs, how do you plan to do that? Is there a plan?
Well, all we can do is share our experience, strength, and hope with them. And because if you're from the streets, you more than likely heard of us or heard from somebody else, knew us or heard of us through somebody else. But what we plan to do is probably open up some excuse me. We try to open up some YMCA type of spots for the kids. Um, and just that's all we can do is just share our testimonies with them and just let them know what we've been through. But I know it has to come with perks, so that's why we can't go and holler at them on the streets and tell them, don't hang out over here and share our spin, strength, and hope, and have nowhere they can nowhere safe that they can go to. So that's what we're looking into right now is acquiring a building to work with the youth out of. But yeah, we just have to go with God, man. Because our whole lives we've been doing it our own way, and I believe that God had put this law together of all the different usos from different. We share more similarities than differences. You know what I mean? And that's just one thing that makes this table so. The strong point of it is that we all come from different gangs, Samoan gangs. We're all from Samoan gangs. You know what I mean? And that's all we can do, man. Is just share our experience, strength, and hope with them, man, and hope that they can just give them a different alternative to a way of looking at things than the things that we chose to do. Like Yuma was just saying, a different route from the route that we took. So, all we can do is plant the seed, like it says in the Bible. One man plants the seed, one man waters, and God gives the increase. So that's all we can do is plant the seed and just let God do his thing. You know what I mean? And not get in God's way. We just do our part and let him do his part. And that's it.
Yeah. When you use that term God, does denominations and churches play into that, or is that an idea that you picked up along the way that works for you, or?
No, well, actually for me, growing up in the church, I grew up in the Catholic Church, and the belief system was pretty much forced upon me. It wasn't until I went into recovery, because I'm in recovery from addiction. I've been clean for almost 2 years now, and my truth is that I went to, in recovery they suggest that you find a higher power of your own understanding. So when I got there, I found God. I found a God of my own understanding, and I went to the Chapel of Change in Long Beach and rededicated my life to Jesus Christ. So that's where I'm at as far as spiritually. That's just my truth. I know everybody has their own process, and if you grew up in the church, you grew up in a local, and you found God, more power to you. But that's not my truth, and I'm not going to say it is, because one thing I ain't a liar. So, I just that's what it is for me, as far as that.
Okay. You mentioned the YMCA, right? Now, why wouldn't you advocate for existing structures like YMCA? You want to do your own thing. Is that what I'm hearing you say? Something that's relevant to our people instead of the existing infrastructure.
Yeah, I mean, we have to pretty much mimic it, not really much do exactly what they're doing, but because we're just new to this with this movement.
Yeah.
So right now is a good time that we're doing a little research, doing some research to mimic other organizations, but not really lay the blueprint, you might say, of what they're doing, exacting what they're doing, but in our own way, as far as from our experience, strength, and hope of where we come from,
What was the biggest lesson while you were in prison? What was what was the thing that turned your life around? What was the thing that you got to and you said, okay, wala vale wa umadato la lasui?
I think for myself, doing 19 years in prison straight, it kind of opened my eyes. It didn't kind of open my eyes, but it did open my eyes. Just from, doing this stupid stuff out here on these streets, as far as us trying to kill each other because you're from the other side, or just fighting and doing crazy stuff to each other. And then when we get inside Whapui, we call each other Usos again. But out here, we're out here trying to kill each other for whatever color you're wearing. And then when we get in Whalepupui, it's a whole different game, a whole different game as far as the colors and where you're from. It's just straight up Usos. And that's the thing I never understood until I got in there. And it took me a few years after I got busted to realize, the colors or the neighborhood I was banging and, doing everything for. It wasn't really what I thought it was until you get in Whalepupui. Then you start seeing these Usos from different areas, and you have that common bond that we're all Samoa, and just from that, seeing Usos, mingling with each other, calling each other Usos in there, when out here we was just about to kill each other. And it woke me up. It woke me up to really realize that, the stuff I was doing out here didn't make sense until I actually went inside and did all that time. And it woke me up. And by that, and me getting out, after all that time, we wanted to, bring all these Usos together just like inside. If we could do it inside, we can do it out here. It starts from here. And I think that's where we're at as far as trying to get all the Usos together. I know we can't touch everybody and everybody's not going to feel our movement, but the individuals that, that does feel our movement, I hope, they come on board and realize that the life that they think it is, this glorifying gang banging out here on the streets, is not what it is when you get inside.
Yeah. So when you got inside, what was it? What was the precipitating event that made you look like? What was the one? Was it the language that brought you together? Was it the color of your skin? Or?
It's just knowing that other individual is Samoa just like you.
Yeah.
And you kind of sit back and you sit back and you think about what your mom and dad used to always tell you, growing up, don't go looking for the trouble, stuff like that. It was just, I had to see it for myself because, growing up out here on these streets, you don't have no really guidance. You're a product of your environment, wherever you grow up at. And that's the lifestyle I ended up getting into. And that's all I knew at the time until I got in there and I started to, grow up in there and my eyes started to open. Like, we're really not enemies. You're just like me. You're probably my cousin.
Yeah.
And it kind of changed my whole way of looking at life as far as the gang banging and doing the street stuff.
Lua Falemana, Tino, that's a big name, huh? Have you ever done a search on your name and what it means and where you're from and
just what it means? But I'm a fob when it comes to Samoa, man. You know what I mean? I never been to Samoa. I've been over here in California all my life. So my Samoa language is really nil. So I know I heard a lot about stories about the last name, about the history of it. I don't really know too much in detail, but I believe we come from Ua. Forgive me, family, if you guys are listening to this, but I don't know where they got exactly that said. Shoot.
But if you just take your name apart, right? So there's mana, right? Spirit, power. There's fale, house, abode, security. And there's lua, numbers, two, twins, other. So it's, if you unpack just your name, it's huge, right? Lua Falemana. And I'm sure it's short for something, and there probably is a story that goes with it. So the notion that there is a piece of property in the middle of the Pacific with your name on it, I mean, that to me, I think, is what brought you guys together, right? It's some connection to this piece of earth that God created in the middle of the Pacific Ocean. Right. And it took you, prison time to sit down and think through that.
Yeah, because how this came together was through a daily devotional. You know, it came through from a daily devotional. This is my celly in Corcoran. We were cellies in Corcoran. Corcoran gated communities, Corcoran Estates, gated communities, and so when he got out, we hooked up, and then I got his number, and I started sending him the daily devotional, and then we put King on, Doso King, and then Blast, and then Bug was like, "Hey man, put Cass on there, his little brother right there," and then we put Dill on there, and it was just 6 of us. So I'm just sending the devotional, and then as those started getting out, those that I didn't know and those that was busted knew, they'll get out like those just got out and give us the spill that with the movement, and we just ended up being 20 of us on the table. But I believe in every fiber in my being and in my heart, in the depths of my heart, man, that God has put this table together at this opportune time right now. I know that this is a very powerful movement. I'm trying to, I'm not prideful about it at all, because it's all God, and yes. So every time we move, every time we do something, like before we came here, we prayed. I pray, man. I haven't prayed so much in my life, man, since this movement started, man. To be honest with you, and every day, man, God just shows Himself. Faithful, man, in every situation. So yeah, I believe this is spiritual. This is a spiritual movement right here, and all those ain't really at that spiritual level. Everybody has their own process. So all those aren't at that spiritual level yet, but they're going to get there. I believe that God is using us as vessels to get everybody on board, because as you look at the world and see what's going on in the world's going crazy, man. So I believe that's what this is all about.
Okay. Do you know what you're doing on Friday? Who has the schedule for that event?
Oh, so we're doing a march on Friday.
Okay.
It's called the South Pacific Islanders in Solidarity Peace Rally Against Asian Hate. So we're going to be marching in Long Beach, downtown Long Beach, from Marina Green Park to City Hall, and we have the route. We're going to take Linden up to Ocean and make a left, and we're going to go to City Hall. We're going to have some speakers. We got some people that came down from the Bay Area to help us coordinate it, because this is all new to us. So, and they did thousands of marches up there, so they're helping us coordinate the march. And but when we do the march, we're obeying all laws. Obeying all the stop signals, the stop lights. We ain't trying to take over the streets. We're not trying to do none of that.
Okay.
And yeah, because the last time we all mobbed up the streets together in groups, we all went to jail. You know what I mean?
This time we want to do it
this
right.
This time it's totally opposite, man. It's all about sublimation, man. It's just that's our focus. That's our vision. Our mission statement. We read our mission statement and pray in before every meeting, just so we keep our vision intact and know what we're doing. And in the Bible it says, without vision the people perish. So as long as we keep that vision, man, I believe we're going to be all right, man.
Yeah. Without vision, people perish.
Yeah, people perish.
They've upgraded that quote, without competent people, the vision perish. Right. So I think you have to do that dance between competence and vision.
Yeah, well, I mean, that's true, but I don't know why they would change it for, because when Moses freed the slaves, he couldn't even talk. You know what I mean? He just went out. God sent him, and he couldn't even talk. He was stuttering. That's what the Bible teaches us.
Didn't he have his brother Aaron that help him out?
Yeah,
and
exactly.
His sister.
So that's why me and Bugs here. So anytime I stutter, Junebug's over here picking up the slack. You know what I mean? You know what I mean? So it's like when as cliche as it sounds, when I say I'm just believing in God and let God take the wheel and let go and let God. I mean, I'm really serious about that, man. I'm like, I don't play with God. I know losing us, the devil lost 20 goons. You know what I mean? To doing his work all of our lives, and for us to turn around and flip the script on him. I know he's pissed off right now, but he's gonna have to deal with it. Yeah. So that's his bad. He should never got on that team. You know what I mean? So yeah. So that's what it is, man. We just myself today. I can speak for myself, man. I just let go and let God, man. I don't. I just For real, man. As cliche as it sounds, man. Like I said.
Yeah. Kiunga, is there a character in the Bible where that you identify with?
Honestly, not really.
Okay.
I haven't even read the Bible like that, to be honest.
Okay.
I was raised in a Christian home. My mom, my dad always made us go to church, and I always fell asleep. I just never got into it like that until now. You know, I'm starting to get into the Bible, starting to read it. It's just something new, and I'm happy that I'm going this route. You know, because I've always did the devil's work. Now it's time to do God's work, what God wants me to do. And I think after all these years, it took all these years to kind of, you know, wake me up and realize what's really going on in the world. And I don't know, it's just new. I'm just going as each and every day, and I'm just blessed to wake up each and every day.
Yeah, no, I'm so excited about what God is doing in your community, in your part of the woods. You know, I grew up kind of like, you know, church kid. My
Right.
dad was a pastor, my grandfather was a pastor. So I wasn't bold enough to go outside that. I was always usikai, you know, mofuilalo. So I never got to experience life the way you experienced life. And so now that we're coming together, and I think you have something to say about that, right?
About what?
about kids that grew up on the other side of the railroad, and now we get to come together, and it's like
Yeah.
you say, it's all God.
Wow.
So for a while I was intimidated. I said, wow, these are the kids that sort of like my mom warned me not to be, right? But here I am, if I say, oh, you know, years later, I'm like, well, God is in them too, right? And if God is not in them, then I have a very small God. This is what I was thinking. So when I was first approached to sort of like take a look at this piece in the city that I love, I said, wow, okay, well, let's see what goes on. So I'm excited to have you here.
And thank you for having us.
Yeah, thank you for having us.
We've got other guests. So did you want to say a few last words to the audience before we take a break and bring in two more?
I'm good. Just want to tell all the youngsters out there that's listening is don't hang around with bad people, man. You know, if you're young, man, I was getting in trouble when I was 9 years old. Since I was 9 years old, started running in and out of jail since I was 15. Got out of prison in 2012, and I've been out ever since. But like I like to share is that from 2012 to the time right now is the longest period of time that I've ever been out of jail since I was 15 years old. You know, I did a lot of years in installment plans, not like this brother right here who did 19 years straight. You know, many of the others that's going to come on right now, and they did some, you know, they did some real, like we call it wino time. You know, when you go in there and sober up and come out, ain't nobody did none of that. You know, so we just just want to tell all the folks out there, man, that, you know, to find something that you're good at and pursue it. You know, don't pursue nothing that anybody else is doing out there that's bad, man. You know, because we were living examples of how you can go to prison and how you can go to jail. Now we're flipping the script and we're being living examples of how to be a positive impact in society. So yeah, that's all.
Yeah.
Yep.
And your Samoan is good, right? I mean, you're working on it.
It's good.
Especially kala fa Samoa kiu. Okay, we've got a comment from Anna Kose. Great listening to these guys talking about what they going through and went through, whether you're still in the gang or out of the gang. I have a question to ask these two, if I may. What are the alternatives you have to do to manicure the problem inside the gang? What are kind of solutions to solve the problems inside the gang? Because we have this gang of Samoa against Tongans in New Zealand, It's been going on for years, and the fighting and disconnect from one another is just no way out unless the government steps in or the community would step in to try to solve both gangs to keep the peace. Yeah, you want to speak to that?
Yeah, well, you know, it's not about changing the gang culture. It's about changing the gang's mindset. You know, if you like the Uso Pimps was saying, is if you like selling drugs, become a pharmacist. If you like selling drugs, sell life insurance. You know, you like to shoot people, join the army. You know, it's just right now we're just getting off the ground. So we're right now is like the beginning stages. So we have to figure out what's necessary steps that we can take to help the gangs. You know what I mean? Because right now all we can go off is just our experiences of running the streets and being in prison. So as soon as we start progressing and the wheels keep turning, then we got to find out and see whatever works. What's more how you call it is for your audience. What's more
Appropriate for
for the audience? You know what I mean, as we go along, because we're dealing with a bunch of different age groups. You know, like we're going to be in San Diego on May 22nd. We're going to be speaking to age groups that's from 8 to 13. You know, and sharing our experience strength and hope with them. But yeah.
So what you're saying is don't transform the gangs, but
the mindset. I mean,
transform
the
the
gangs.
mind.
I mean, the gangs are going to be there.
Right.
You can't be no. You know, we're not going to be no Malcolm X or nothing like that. You know, but we can give an alternative on how to channel your energy that you're doing from a negative way to a positive way. But the only way that can happen is if we're living examples. We can't just talk. You know, everybody talks. Everybody talks, man. But you know, hardly nobody walks the walk. So until we get everything going on and everything in motion, and then it'll be easier to answer questions like this.
Yeah, what Anna's concerned about is this peace, right? She aspires to this thing where everything is quiet and we're able to talk to one another, listen to one another.
And as far as the gang situation, the gangs are always going to be here. Our thing is to change the mindset from these kids joining these gangs and doing something alternative from joining these gangs. Like the Uso said, if you want to sell drugs, go to school and become a pharmacist.
Yeah.
You know, there's all kind of different alternatives where you can put your energy instead of putting it into the negative. Because the gangs are going to be here. They're going to always be here. Our thing is to get these kids from getting into these gangs and doing something better, and not following into these, these gangs and street stuff that's going on, because it's there. It's going to stay there. It's not going nowhere. Our thing is to steer these kids from going that route and getting themselves caught up in these gangs, you know. And as far as the Samoans and Tongans out here, we get along. You know, the Tongans are with us. We're with the Tokos as well. You know, we support each other. We're not, with as far as the gang stuff, we don't do that out here. You know, it probably did happen in the past, but a lot of us that's up there in our age, you know, a lot of us grew out of that mentality. And now we're trying to teach these youngsters a different route, you know, to better their life and not make that mistake, because there's no turning back once you go down that route. There's only two things, and it's always true what my mom and dad used to always say. There's only two things that you get from doing that. Either you're going to go to Falapui, or somebody's going to kill you on these streets. And that's the only two alternatives that you're going to get from being in a gang. Everybody kind of glamorizes this. You know, you have all these rappers and stuff like that out here glamorizing these gangs, and which is not really true. You know, that's all a, what do you call it, a facade or whatever. But the gangs are going to be here, and it's not going to go nowhere. And we're just trying to change a lot of these youngsters' mindsets as far as joining these gangs, and give them a different give a different alternative. Instead of doing something stupid, you could do something positive with that energy. Just like you want to be tough, you can be tough in the military. You know, and that's what we're trying to open these kids' eyes to, because, you know, out here everybody wants to be Superman, but when you go to Falapui, you don't have nobody. It's just you against a bunch of hungry dogs were waiting to bite on you. And we're not trying to steer nobody in that direction no more, because we live that life, we've been there, and we're just trying to stay positive now and do good for our kids and our kids' kids. And hopefully that, you know, this stuff stops eventually as far as our peoples.
Good. Good. Well, thank you. We're going to take a break, and then we'll bring in 2 more speakers.
Thank you for having us.
And we'll be back after this break.
Thank you.
Yeah. Okay. So we got water in the refrigerator if you guys. Yolo tatou fatasi ai ma ta yolo faux movement i le tatou studio i le fiafi nei o lo matou fatasi ma le sunga ia Bell Taulua ia whapefo i ma Peter Afemata. Good afternoon, guys. We have here in our studio Belle and Peter that are here from the Faux movement, and they'd like to continue speaking about the Faux. Tell us about the Faux movement, Peter.
The Usos came on here before, just trying to undo our wrongs, and try to help out the youth. One thing about us Samoans, right, we're family, and when we talk amongst each other, we always say that we're all one, and as you can heard from Junior, as they go in jail as well, same way. So we want to make sure that the way we act on inside there, we come out here and be a family, because we are a family. We're family-oriented, culture. We center around God, and I think it's important for us to connect back with that spiritual side of us. A lot of times, for me, I'm spiritually back into my Lord and Savior Jesus Christ, so that helps this movement go forward, right? Because a lot of us found God in this, and even though maybe a lot of Usos may not say it, but their spiritual, aspect of it is like they just want to do right. I mean, anything good is God. So that's how I see us all coming together, moving forward, and doing right by the youth. And people who are in jail, just like most of these Usos, I didn't do that much time like these guys did, but to have that insurance when they do come out is a gift, that we can do for those guys that we wish probably these guys probably had when they came out. So,
how did you come up with the name?
Good question. So we were, we're on a group text, like Brother KT said, and we knew we was getting serious with the organization, and then next thing you know, we just started brainstorming. And one of the Usos on the team, on the movement, Giz said, Fata Singo Usos, gathering of brothers. And it was just, and we didn't know also that the foe was like, new, right? Yeah. So, I mean, now it's God. That's how know it's God's movement, right? So everything, and it was good because people kept throwing out different names, and he was like, nah, we don't like that. And then, when he bring up the Fata Singo Uso, a gathering of brothers, he was like, just ring a bell, and that's how it came about.
Good. Belle, what's your story?
My story is I've been in prison for 30 years. I grew up in gangs. Like my brother said, we are brothers that come together. We all did time, and we all took from the community. We did what we wanted to do. We thought we was entitled because of what we represented. The color. My brothers represented the blue rag, the red rag. I come from the Mexican gang. I represented the brown rag. So as you sit in prison after doing all these, making our bad choices and our bad decisions and just reminiscing on the things that we did in our lives, there comes a time in your life where, you want to do something good. You want to do something good for the community. You want to give back to the community. It's the way of us not only making amends to our victims, but also to, just saying sorry to the community and to our families, and just giving something for our kids and our grandkids, because I got grandkids now. When I went in prison, I didn't have all that, and, I wasn't a good father. I abandoned my kids for 30 years. So, there's a lot of pain and hurt there, that comes with all this doing time. And so when this Faux movement came up, I knew exactly, because I've been praying for it since I've been home. This is something I wanted to do. I wanted to use my experience and everything that I've been through, the pain, the hurt, and the sorrow, and just use it for something positive. And when these brothers, when they opened this up, my Usos, man, I knew this is something I needed to do. So that's how I came into this Faux movement.
Yeah. Has it ever occurred to you guys that there's this institutionalized school to prison pipeline that's in this country, that's part of our community? Did it ever occur to you that maybe there's some other forces that sort of like put you in prison?
Yeah, I mean, when you look at school, right?
Yeah.
You go in, you gotta get at a certain time, the bell, and you're in these little classrooms, and then when you go to jail, right, same thing, cell, time, wake up, go sleep, and it's kind of like, it's funny you say that, because I was actually talking to a cousin of mine about the system thing,
Yeah.
and when we were talking about it, we were across the street from the school, and the bell rang, and we were like, "Oh, it's time, it's time to go." And it's like it's institutionalized in your brain that it's your program to do this and do that, and I have open mind to think outside the box, or like think the inside the box, and we only know what they give us. We don't know the resource outside, and when you do, it's like, man, like the brother said earlier, man, there's many more resources out there, So, yeah.
Yeah, I mean, there was a 3 strikes you're outlaw, right? Passed
Yeah.
by the Clinton administration, right? And that sort of like put a lot of people easily in prison
Correct.
just for stealing a bubble gum, right?
Yeah.
3 strikes and you're gone for like 20 years.
Yeah, a lot of people was coming in prison. I was in prison already when all these guys that was hitting that 3 strike law was coming in. And it was coming in for, like you said, stealing gum, pizza, pants, trying to survive. But, the drugs got into the game, and this is what they do to survive.
Yeah.
You know.
And then that whole for-profit prison system where they actually reward these companies for incarcerating people. They go by the numbers. So, the whole systemic pull to put bodies into cages for profit is something perhaps they didn't tell you.
Yeah. I
But
didn't know that.
yeah, I mean, so now people are woke to that. So tell me, what's the problem that FO wants to solve? What do you see the problem that FO movement would like to solve?
What we want to do is give an avenue for the youngsters.
Okay.
The youngsters that are growing up the same way we have, and sharing our story with them, but giving them something other than just hanging out in the neighborhood. Going out there and getting them a beer or just smoking weed. Once we get our foot on the ground and get established, it could be, just showing, getting together, different neighborhoods, maybe having a football game, having a picnic, just getting together and showing them, unity, togetherness, stuff that we didn't have, and just letting them know, that education is very important. Giving them, some wisdom so they can go back and get this education, because a lot of us growing up, I mean, school was the last thing we was thinking about. Yeah. And when we got in the prison system, it was the same thing that we doing in the prison system that we did out here, until later on down the years. As you see now, I got a grade, I went in there with hair, and my mustache was black, I had, but just going in there and continuing doing the same thing, and hitting the dead end, hitting the wall. So we want to just give them something, let them know that the lifestyle that we live, it ain't that glamorous, because after everything is said and done, and they put the cuffs on you, and then when you go in prison, they're gonna lock you up in a cell the size of that bathroom, with 2 people in there and a toilet. So it's like your mother just told you got time out, but you time out for 23 hours, every single day. So that lifestyle, it can be all nice out here, but once they put the cuffs on you, you're going to be, praying to, crying to get on that phone and say, hey, mama, I'm sorry.
Yeah. Can the churches help? What do you see the role of the churches doing?
Yeah, on the spiritual aspect is educating themselves on God, right? To understand what's our purpose here on earth, and who we are. We're all God's children. And I think once you can understand that even, everyone is your brother and sister, and that's important to love one another. And a lot of times people have this chip on their shoulder, like someone owes them something, and when you listen to Christ as the example, it's to forgive, right? So, 70 times 7, or forgive your brother. And when you do that, you feel much better. You move forward. And I think that part where, us growing up, we didn't have the education part, right? We was just told to believe in God, believe in Christ, and it's like, for what? Who's that? But this day and age with technology, the education is more advanced. It's more educational. So think we need to get more into understanding who God is for me, for as far as church-wise, to understand what's my purpose here on earth. That's how I see how the church is. And, you know, the communities, like being active, right? Like Brother KT said about YMCA. Well, those churches have youth activities, you know what I mean? Be more involved. And I think the church needs to come outside of the box to go into the communities instead of saying, no, we don't want to, you know, be involved in anything out there. They need to be in there so the people, the youth that's in the community can understand, like, oh man, the church people are out here reaching out to us. You know what I mean? And be as one, not separate, if that makes sense.
I want to do that for you guys, Peter. Bill?
I want to say one quick thing too about this. The church definitely has a role to play for us, you know, for the community, with them, because what we're saying to the youngsters is come hang out with us. You know, we've been in your shoes. Listen to our stories, and hopefully you can change. But when they come hang out with us, they're gonna hear our talk, and we always put God first now. You know, God is, you know, without God, we know ain't none of this will be happening. So yeah, the church, you know, we want the little youngsters to come out and hang out with us, and when they hear OGs like us, I'm triple. Who's right here is probably a double. I got you know, we're all been in the game. But when they hear dudes like us speaking about God, you know, they're gonna listen, and you know, it might make them want to come to church, because that's probably the same thing that parents are teaching them. You know, that's the wake up call. You know.
Well, one thing I got is you can't force kids to go to church,
No,
right? Because they did that to some of you, and it didn't go well. You ended up going the other way. So I think the church and the parents have to learn that, number one. And then I hear you say something about education too, right? Because perhaps what they're teaching in school is not relevant. It's boring the kids out of their minds, and then they want to explore other things. So maybe that's something that needs to be looked at, our educational system. How do people learn, people like us, how do we learn? So.
Yes, yeah, you must relate to the person, right? You must relate to the person to know where they came from and who they are. You know, us, like you said, us being from the streets, we can talk to street people. You know, I mean, I probably don't know, I probably can't relate to a professor, you know what I mean, or something like that, but I can relate to a person on the street. But with the knowledge of their self-worth is a big thing for us. Because a lot of people sometimes, like, my attitude growing up was, I don't care, you know what I mean? No one cares about me, so I'm gonna do whatever I want to do. And that's the attitude on the mindset growing up, was I'm gonna go get mine.
Okay.
You know.
So the other important question are the resources, right? So when our people came here, like in the mid-50s, right after World War II, they came here to start building these churches. We have some of the big churches here in town because that's what they do, and at the expense of their families. And so I guess what I'm saying is, at some point, we need to fund this movement. You guys need to get involved in how schools are funded, how churches are funded, how the infrastructure of this country is funded, right? If this is something that you want to pursue, you got to be able to negotiate the economic piece, because that's important, right?
Yeah.
And I think that's educational too. You have any plans for that?
Yes, we do plan on partnering up, you know what I mean, with other organizations. We're new.
Yeah.
We're new, so we're here trying to learn and from different organizations that have the right heart and mindset to be a part of this movement that we're doing. And we understand that. We understand that funding is a big part of it. So we are getting ourselves educated on it, and we are definitely praying on these things and moving as the Spirit conducts us to move. So.
Yeah. And you guys had a fundraiser a couple weeks ago. And I remember when the churches were using that to fundraise for the churches.
Yeah.
But I think we got to take this game to a different level. We can't just like wait for the crumbs that falls from their table. We got to like shake the table around and sort of like tell them that we're here. Yeah. You guys are all citizens of this country, right? And you're here, so.
No, I think, and like you said, right, it's the educational part, right? We don't have to fundraise by play sale. It's going to be great, right?
It's going to take a long time to raise those funds.
Right? Like there's a grant out there that'll give you millions of dollars to do these things. Oh, what? We didn't know that. And that's the benefit of networking, right?
Yeah.
And so, that's why we're out here networking, with someone like yourself, you know what I mean? and other organizations that we all want to see this positive movement move forward.
When we had that Zoom call, a couple of our guys had jobs and they were phoning in, and that was really exciting because they were taking their break and they were participating and they're on the company dime. But jobs, I mean, how important is that? Is that something you want to pursue?
Very, very important.
Yeah.
You know, it's like the inmate thing where we want to help out inmates coming out and having, you know, something already stable for them, right? So a program that we do out here, we want to do it in the system as well. So we can kind of, you know, work together as a team. Addicts, we want to help out with addicts, you know what I mean? We got Usos that are on here that are recovering addicts, and we want to stop the hate. And by that is why just, you know, doing rallies like the march we're doing this Friday, and just being out there in the community and showing peace. But yes, job is, you know, like the Uso KT said, we have to have those perks for them, right? We can't share a testimony and then what? Okay, that sounds good. What are we going to do afterwards? We have to have a job placement for them, right? Or something for them to look forward to. Yeah, so, you know, it's kind of one of those things where you don't want a fat guy talking about working out, right? you ain't gonna listen to him.
Yeah, you gotta, what do they say? Walk your talk.
There you go.
Yeah. So good. Asa Vasilia Tatu, Talofa Bell and Peter, how are you guys? This is from Ana Kose. And Luisa Fatmausili said, God's timing for each and everyone's lives is just perfect. Proud of you gentlemen for encouraging.
Thank you, sister.
Yeah. Savali Salu said, Malofa soa maile o uso, sa o lelei, ele mawhaiona tātou av. Okay. Ngā leo sui lungo le comment. Okay. So we're getting some questions on the Facebook Live feed.
Just to clear something up real quick.
Hey.
We do speak Samoan, and we understand Samoan real good.
Okay.
I like kiki alfa Samoan kamalo, you know, almost my peoples, you know, I love it, you know, but you know, we come from the streets, and that's no excuse, you know, but
Our heart is Samoan.
Yeah, and I think we have to take responsibility. Us that know the language and have a hold of these institutions like the Olotu, the nonprofits, I think we have an obligation to teach our next generation the language of our mothers. So, yeah, so I think it's shia umatato the responsibility. And Anna said, great to listening to that positive attitudes when you guys want to change your lives for the absolute better. God works in every corner of your journey. The problems that affecting your lives, God sees what's in your heart, and He decides to work towards to heal your hearts and turn it into a better life. Thank you heaps for sharing your personal information with us on SOTF Live's Talkback. Fatasingo uso. Uso could also mean sisters. Do you have any sisters in your
In the movement?
In the movement?
We don't, but we do have them helping us. You know, so without them, we're nothing.
Because there's a Samoan proverb, "Eauleina ilaua tina," meaning that it's the female that really accomplish things for our society. So
we understand the backbone.
yeah,
You know, of our country. You know, so we have our sister Esther over here, and she's been a big positive help for us. And then people that's come from Frisco. There's another sister, Dana, that's doing her thing, and you know, we appreciate the sisters. You know, we understand that a lot of us, you know, we come from prison, and they've been doing this work, and you know, we want to come over there and lighten their burden up now. You know, we want to go with them. You know, and we need their help. You know, that's the backbone of our, you know, of Samoas, the mothers of our families.
yeah.
You know,
Indeed.
talking with them, from one of the sisters from the Bay Area, from San Francisco, she said it. She says that it's good to see Samoan brothers in this kind of movement because there's not that many, and not only Samoan brothers, but our kind of, you know, our name in the streets as that. So you know, what makes this group so powerful is that we're from different cities. If it was just us from Long Beach, it'd be cool, but it wouldn't be as that much strong. But different cities coming together that were once enemies, that's what makes it powerful. And only God can do that. Only God can can humble everyone's heart like that, to come to a table and be like, that guy, I thought one day he was my enemy, but he's my brother now. Only God, you know, and that takes a lot of humility from all the brothers to come on the table for that. To put their pride down and then come say, man, let's do this. Let's do this as a collective group and just push for a better tomorrow.
Okay. All right. Do you have any questions? Do you have any requests for this platform in particular, but the churches generally, because that's who I represent?
I think the structure, right, is church has been for this is what the Constitution was founded on God, right? You know, and I think we have to, for us, we got to structure ourselves in that aspect to push forward, because we do talk about God is leading us, and we need to structure our group like that and see how we can move forward into helping our communities with the church. You know, so like we're like the church is like the general managing team, and we're the football players, you know, ready to go play. And I think we need to work together as a team, you know, to help save our peoples.
Yeah, to increase our brand.
Yeah.
Every time I visit people, and I always ask, do they have any Samoan friends? And the brand has always been good. Oh yeah, I've got this family, always gives us food, Samoan family. So our brand is very hospitable, very inclusive. Talimalo, those are some of our values, hardworking. And I think if we work together, we can upgrade that brand. One of the problems with structure is it ossifies. In malo, this is one of the challenges with structure, because when you were growing up and you wanted to shake the structure, right, it didn't allow for that. It wasn't malleable. But now this is what it seems like you're asking. You're asking for structure because you've done chaos, and it doesn't lead well, right? Because then you fall into other structural pieces that are there, like the Falipuipui, the prison pipeline, those policies, you don't quite understand what's going on, but you're part of this. And you long for that structure that's uniquely yours, the Fa'asamoa. And I think that's what I'm hearing you request of the structural Samoan indigenous pieces, like the Matai system, the Lotu, Fatutuang, and all that stuff. But I'm saying, as part of the structure, that we need your innovation. We need that thing that allows us to transform and rediscover and reconfigure who we are, because structure ossifies. And to the extent that we don't allow the Holy Spirit to remold our structures, then we're dead as a people. So I'm looking forward to working with you guys.
She would love to have you.
Yeah.
You know, this is what the movement is about. It's bringing us all together. You know, and we're going to need the churches. We need everybody. You know, everybody. You know, we can't do this alone.
Takes a village, right? Takes a village,
takes a village,
to raise a child.
Yeah.
That's right. And, you know, we're happy to be here to spread, you know, our word, but we're also happy to just be here and let the Samoan, just the Polynesian community know that there's some good brothers out here in Southern California, all the way down to San Diego and up north, you know, that been in prison and are out here trying to make a difference. We'd love to have whoever wants to come out and join us this Friday for the march. We'd love to have you. And, you know, we grew up going to church. I grew up going to the local speaker in Compton. And so, you know, even though I grew up going to church, you know, I made my bad choices and, you know, destructive behavior. But I'm here now. You know, I went through my journey. That was a journey God put me through. I put myself in it. But God helped me guide myself through it. And I'm here today. You know, so I'm here with my brothers, and I stand with my brothers. I'm proud to be with my brothers here, you know, because we're doing something positive.
Okay.
Question.
Yeah, Asif So we have a question from Luisa Famausili. What if one day in the future your son or daughters decided to try the kind of lifestyle you live and experience, the street life, and go against your word and advice? Not to forego that route because you've been there, done that. So I guess Luisa wants to know, what if your son or daughter decides to take up the gang life?
Well, for me, I have 5 children, and my oldest is 19, 16, 14, 11, and 8. And my oldest is a girl, and my youngest was a boy. I took him away from the city that I grew up in because I didn't want him to see that, but he also hears about my name, and he also understands, what my past was. And to answer that question, that's where I don't want to say our parents messed up at, because I think that's how they were raised, right? They forced it upon, like, you gotta do this because they don't want you to go the other route. For our generation, I think we're more acceptable to teach, to share, right? And then, like, for me, one time my kids wanted to go out on Sunday. I said, I remember my mom and dad never wanted me to go out on Sunday, but they forced it upon me, and they made me want to get away from, go out on Sunday, because they used to force me to stay home Sunday. But I told them, go ahead, go. Well, for me, my mom and dad always make sure that keep the Sabbath day holy. Long story short, they went out, they got into a fight. My son and my daughter, and they had to go through that experience. You know what I mean? To understand that. And when they came home, I said, that's why my mom and dad told me to go on Sunday. So I'm trying to help you guys out. But I understand that you guys have to go through that. But that's the part, is talking to them, right? I never talked to my dad. My dad was just a hardworking, Samoan man, blue collar, work, come home. And then, oh man, just be quiet, he's here. Never had a conversation with him, but I knew he loved me. And I didn't know he loved me until I got older, because he was just that he ran in our house with an iron fist. You know what I mean? But my mom was the loving, caring one. So for me growing up, I want to be able to talk to my kids, and I do. I talk to all 5 of my children. I have a good relationship with them, and sometimes it could be good and bad, because their mouth could get back. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Because I raised them to be talking to me like that. You know what I mean? But hey, still understand I'm your father, and I think that's the difference now. So to answer the question, like, if they do go that route, I know I did my part.
Yeah.
And I know that hopefully my teachings will come in their mindset, and when they go to jail, if they ever did, and I told you. So yeah.
So that's tough. Huh?
Yeah. Well, for me, because I'm a little bit older than my Outou right here, but I got a son that's in, still in the game, and but I have to understand. See, my son, I got 3 grandkids from him, and he's been a grown man. He when I was in there for 30 years in prison, he put a roof over his kids. He took care of his family. So I can't just come in there and disrupt that, because he stood up as a man to take care of his family. But even though he's in the game, I'm going to love him, support him, and he knows what what the things I don't approve of. But all I can do is just talk to him and let him know, this part of the game. I've been there. I don't want you to go there, but that's your decision, because he's a grown man now. And but yeah, all you can do is talk to him, and hopefully that there'll be something in his life that's going to happen where he's sees the light and want to turn his life around. So I'm in that right now, where I do have a son that still in this game, but all I can do is love him, support him, and hope for the best.
Yeah. Tui. Ana Kose said, yes, Pastor Tagaloa, just explaining this whole structures in a clear fraction of how these young thuds or studs?
I
think she meant stud.
Yeah.
Went through these structures. These self-correcting spelling gets in the way. Yeah, those structures are worthwhile looking at, and maybe learning again how you guys approach your Samoan culture in the appropriate way. I can see the love and respect in you guys, but learning again in a Samoan way is great. Yeah. This is one of those non-negotiables. I think
He meant thugs. Not
We meant
studs.
thugs.
I like studs better.
Yeah, no. No, Fia is quite a joker. She's
Oh,
commenting about Anna's
Oh, gotcha,
comment.
gotcha.
Yeah, so
Everyday viewers. Huh?
yeah.
Can she see us? Because I'm going to say, Thea,
She can see us.
you don't want to see the thug. Just kidding, sis.
So I like what the earlier group said. You can't take the gang, the energy.
Yeah.
You can't. You got to repurpose that. You've got to take that energy and like sell pharmaceuticals instead of drugs, right?
Yeah.
I mean, and that's
Mindset, right?
it's the mindset. It's the mindset because I think that's what's beautiful about our people. You know, there's a lot of energy in us. I don't know where it comes from, but it's like, you know.
It's like we're God's chosen children, right? And we have that spirit in us. We're warriors. And I think, you know, coming from Samoa, like people always ask, right? Like, man, why is Samoans? I remember going to jail one time, and a Mexican dude said, "Hey, man, why are you guys are Crips and Bloods? You know what I mean? You guys should be your own gang, like Samoans only, right? No Crips and Bloods." And I thought about it for me personally. I was like, interesting, you know? And I just thought, like, because we're warriors coming on, man, we come to, and I think that fascinated us. You know what I mean? That whole gang lifestyle, like a warrior type mentality.
Yeah.
You know, to battle one another, if that makes sense. This is our territory. Because my dad used to tell me when they was in Samoa, man, we used to go from village to fight. You know what I mean? And but he was scared for us to do it down here because they use guns over here.
Yeah.
So, but I think that mentality is still the same. You know.
Yeah. Well, if you look at how the Samoan village is organized, I mean, the omanga, that's where the energy is.
Yeah.
And they do the fe'aus, and they do the tautua, and it's obedience is their big thing. That's their currency, because o le ala I le pule o le tautua. By being obedient with their tautua, they escalate to leadership positions. And that's how Samoan society has run over all these years in the middle of the Pacific Ocean. So there's something to be said about that energy, because if you look at it biologically, it's between 12, 13 years old till about 25, 26. Because once that's the omanga phase. There are some people that continue to be omanga in their 40s, but they're not as effective as the ones that are in their primes, right?
Yeah.
And that's where I think gang activity is focused on. The flip side of that, ingenuity, right? Some of our kids are in their biggest spurts of growth intellectually and innovation during that same energy. So if we redirect some of that energy, we can have them inventing all sorts of stuff. Mental warriors.
I see a bunch of our young brothers and sisters doing their thing.
Yeah.
You know, I've seen Tagaloa Tuesday, the Mana Essence. They got ladies that are writing, our sisters, you know, writing books.
Yeah.
You know, and then they got the other radio station. I mean, there's a lot of good things that's happening in our community.
Yeah.
You know, as far as Polynesian is involved in, man, and we never had that. You know, never had that growing up, and then what you guys do here. You know, I mean, it's amazing to see all this, you know, happening, but, you know, we still have a long ways to go.
Yeah.
You know, so.
So good. Let's take a break. Tatu datu pesele fe malolonga, and then we'll be right back. during the break, Bill asked me, what do you guys think about what we're doing? And I think he was asking those people that sort of like stayed with the farm, that went to church, that were good boys. And I told him, we're skeptical. And I think to some extent that really is something that's true in a real community. We wouldn't, you know how the Palangis are, they're very polite. Oh, that's nice.
Yeah.
That's nice. Nice what you guys are doing. But in the Samoan community, it's like, yeah. Say feet. Let's take a look.
How it goes.
Let's see how it goes. And I think that's a real community. That's a real, true community. They don't butter you up and they don't like blow smoke over you, right? They say, well, we're in this together. Let's take a look at what God is doing in your lives. So that's my initial comment. But the parable that reminded me of was the parable of the guy with the two sons. You remember the prodigal son? Yeah.
Prodigal son.
So you're the young one that went out and
Yeah.
and spent time with the hookers and spent all the family fortune, and now you're coming back,
Yeah.
right? And I talk about the older son that was lost inside the family, right? He was lost too. He just didn't know it, right? So when the son comes back, the younger one comes back repentful and all that, and the son that stayed behind and kept all the rules, he was lost too, right? So I'm lifting that up. I'm reminded of that because there may be something like that going on in the community. You know, Amako, we've been here all this time toiling at the vineyard, right? We didn't do anything bad. And what do we get? We don't get no party. We don't get no parade. We don't get the people marching on our behalf. I just hope that the conversation has gotten to the point where we're mindful of those two brothers. And look at what the dad did. Look at what God does. God comes out to us and say, hey, look, man, this is your brother. He was lost, but now he's found. He was dead, but now he's alive. And I think if we have this proclivity towards what God does in all of our communities, then I think we'll be okay. Yeah. And don't forget about the mother. Because we keep talking about the father, but that's why when you use the word uso also, it's a genderless word. It's one of those magical words that it's sisters. It also means sisters in Samoa, uso lalao or Esther. So anyway, I just wanted to lift those up. Luisa Famosili said, "Thank you for the response, my brother. I believe in open communication and let our children not to be afraid to come talk to us in whatever situations they face in life." Yep, because I'm with Reverend Misipouena stated before of how we grew up. Le tali se upu sta I matua fa'aloalo mato'anga le lotu until married and have your own family. She's got mad respect for you guys, for sharing your personal stories with us and the world. Atonue mawai se honga alofas.
Thank you, sister.
Yeah. Okay, so did you guys want to? So the parade is on the walk is on Friday.
It's a march.
It's a march, okay. And it's at Shoreline Village.
That's the meeting point.
Okay.
Shoreline Village, Shoreline Village Drive in Long Beach.
Okay.
Park.
Okay.
And walking, having a route towards Linden Avenue, going to Ocean, all the way to Long Beach City Hall.
Okay. And it starts at 12 or 1 or
12,
okay.
12 p.m. Noon Friday.
Okay.
And leave ending at 4 p.m.
Okay. Good. All right. Do you have any last words to say to our audience before we sign off?
I just want to say, thank you for this platform. Thank you for all you do for your community. Like you said, you've been doing this, and hopefully you welcome back us like the Father did, and we could definitely work together as a as an organization and help better the community. Thank you.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'd like to say thank you too. We definitely need the churches in this movement that we're doing. We are brothers that's been lost for a while, but we're here now and we're here to stay. You know, this is what we're passionate about. This is what we want for our community, and to be, you know, it's not just for the Usos. It's like you said, it's for our little sisters too that are struggling, that are going through, you know, difficulties in life or whatever it is. You know, we're here for you, and we're going to be here. You know, get off the street. Come on over here and kick it with the folk movement. We love y'all.
Okay, thank you, Bill. Ia, o le a whangatai I le tātou segment le nei o le a te tātou pese le I ona tu muli leo le fau movement mo na taitai. Ia ona whaawau le tātou pokalama. Vene ava noe mo te le tuela whaaftai. Ia Peter, ia whapefo I Martino. Ia whapefo I le tamaitai ia Esther. Pe la tau ia na mātou whairoi mō mua. Ia whapefo in whaaftai ia Junior. Ia mapel ia tusai fo I o le mafuta mai le nei fiafi. Yeah, Manuia lava. God bless you, and we'll see you guys Friday.
Thank you. Thank you for having me.
Thank you, Pastor.
Yeah. Okay, gentlemen.
Ta
Tala whaalo mai o tala o le nei fo yaso. A walo atu le kalesia fa botonga Kirsiano Samoa I lana fono tanga tele fa altau sanga le vai aso le nei. Ai ua fa pena ona fa manatu I fo I le kalesia Kirsiano I Samoa ma le laulangi atoa le World Mission Church of God le aso le nei ua atoa ai le fa se fulu aso talu ona toe tu Yesu talu mai le aso maliu le kalena fa altu spa ia o le World Mission Church of God I Samoa usili el sfultau sanga talon taunu uma I fanua ai tele Samoa o latou fa mamalu matal tonu iai I tu e fia o le laulangi o silia mal tolu miliona tanga tolu laulangi o lo tausia malatou fa manatu le aso le nei se fulu tolu o me I lana kalena fa altu spa ia ma ua ave ai le vai aso atoa lava le nei e fai talo sanga ai mo aso e se fulu e atoa iai le lona 5 se fulu o aso talo na toia fio atu Yesu I le langi le lua afe tau sanga taluai fua I le kalena fa altu spa ia o fa mawina fo e le World Mission Church of God o le aso luas futolo le masina lava le nei o me e la tau te whaamana tua le Pentecoso o le lona 5 se fulua I le nao aso talo na toia fio a e Yesu I whaamau maunga o kale na faltu spaia I Samoa nei lava ia o whaamamalu ai fo e le silia I le lua se lauto tino le World Mission Church of God I le vai aso le nei e le ngata o le atoanga o le fast fulu aso ai o le vai aso talo sanga mo aso fulu a o lo mana I le Pentecoso I le aso luas futolu o le pa u fa tasiai o le fono a malua ma le taimi o le nei fo isa sa fa kalena tu spa ia e kalesia Kirsiano ua sanga pa ia mata wai le nei va ia solona lua o le masino me lua felua tasi tala le tamai o le palota ma le whaamsinonga e le o taumatea le no fotapua e o le tunuu I le aso farai le nei Lea watu iai ele whaamsino sili, Chief Justice Satiu Samativa Perese, e tō laulawa ne ai fōla sanga lo ia. Na whautua ina ele whaamsino sili, lo ia. Ia avane ni whaamtalanga e whaailoa mai ai, po o whea e au mai ai. Le malo si anga o le au le malo e na te whaale au ngā ai se palo te tele, ma ia to e wala au ai se palo te tele. O le whaamsinonga le nasa tu e wala au le astrofio le vai aso le nei. Peta intal sanga le loia sili e tu le vai aso fōu. Talu lo fa mai a mai la to ta penanga peita isa no fa am sino sili tu langa fa na tinachi o lo yaim ta upule nei ma fa se e twai ile so for ile nei o le mta upule lo ai to e fai o se fai nga palota malele ai fu ile muli multa ia ele fa ai unga tu to tasi fa tu la fono fa vai ale fa am sino sili o ta o to twai nei fa am sino sili nei mta fa yo ita ua talu ele o yai se malo ma se pale mene e tolu yai pule ngol malo fa tem kalasio Samoa e ese mai ai le mata upo le vai so fo wa so sulfito me le fa awinga ina o le sino fo fa o popo to mai ta il pale mene wa fu ai le tusa o le fai ungol palo te telo a perila soiva luono le luono peita ai o le fa awa wai o se isi palo te tele fa altula fono e fua le fa to fa la inga ale fa masino sili ile aso foraile nei fa tau le malo si anga fa altula fono folfolanga le au le malo ai le tu tau I tangi o fai pule faia ina fa sanga I fai pule manu malo ma le palo te tele o aprila soiva e pe na fola le famsinonga o lo o fa awau lava le fa solonga mata upu ua tau nu atu I tonu mai le lua valu tangi na vala au le so lulo le vai so nei e na le tasi lava le tangi le o yese fa la velave po se counter su ai o le si lu sulfitu o lo su atu toi fa sanga ne le sui manu malo faila le si fo tangi fa sanga atu yai o le vai aso o le aso tolu tasi o me a matanga o aprila e vala a waimta upu mua e ono ma fa solo to e lava petai e ui ina o lo fa solo lava mta upu le fam sinonga ai o lo ta lia pea le fa ai unga le fam sinu sili fa taul fa sisilanga le au le malo e fa le au nga o mai tau unga le palo to aprila soiva taimine ye tu malo u fa o ane la to fa ai unga le fas o le la to sui lava o yai o le na lava fa tu sa le HRPP wa ava ese mai isia na sui sili fast fulu ai o taitasi ai nei sui ala HRPP moi tu malo e fatova mai ai masui o le fast pe ato e fo ile tunu e palota ile so lua tasi o me e pe ona fola ele ao le malo ma wangia mai o le so lulo le vai so fau e fai ai ia pre-polling po palota amata ai aso fora ile lua tasi le palota tele o talana manuia fa ato fala inga o le nei fo yaso
Ia o tatou news na mai Samoa. o le ala tala e whai, o le tala e whai, o se tala moi, pe o le. Yo whalonglongo tua fo i nius o dato malo mai Samoa. E pe o mawhau i le kalena Kirisiano on the one hand, and then the application for imalsui male olo tangata on the one hand, and then e pe ye le sota ingale na wavala lata ia e pe se ie ele o manino I tangata po o le fea te tawana mua pe mua ia le tua malona finangalo, whatever that means. I le tangata ma le tangata or pe mua me ia tutupu mai o lo awhaina I le soifua ma le o le tangata. Wai o mantuina le talale al professor le First Testament I amato I Claremont. Fa mai alatu mal saumata upsilisili. Ai alatu ma lau theology. Ai alatu ma le whamatala ina o le tua ma le whatutua o le tangata. Ma le finangalo o le tua. Ai le whetau I ma meo I tangata. Yo na sui la I o lau mta upsilisili. Langa o le meo I tangata o le meo pito sili ana na moi. So mafo faulaina o whalongo I niusia le dato le tio e pese I o le mea nā leo lo o ye pe lava le tension le nā I le pule anga ma lo ma la lato structure ia whapea fo ia pule anga le tua lotu e kalesia ia o le tatalo pea ia manuia ia whato whala inga ma le fitfitinga fo e le tunu o lato te tai po fe lava le me e o Yesu anga le vatele ia o le vai aso nei le whatoa umana matu tala noa ma tau le lea ia o lo whaila lato prokalama I le aso whaleile nei I Long Beach, the downtown area. Ma o le te mea noa matu te mafutai masivaenga o le I whaia le prokalama I le studio. E pe ina ofisidi la iai po le alo lato whamoe moe, o le alo lato visiona, o le alo lato mission, a wai ta ua mea nā. E pe o mea nā matanga waina e whaafengo fie I nai ona mimilolo mawhauwhau I au tafa o se tapenanga na iuso ia manai tu whawhine whiolo iai ma le tali la le vaenga whamai they want to bring light into darkness e pe o le lato visional na they were in the dark they realized the importance of the light and now they want to bring that light into the darkness. So mana I whaalato visiona, but if him na mia ia le tapena, if him na mia fo ia le sapsapa ia le tunuu ia maso se mea lavolo ia e Samoa o lo o fina ngalo, if so soani le to inga ngaluenga ia. Ia ese ia le ngaluenga tau tapo inga mam tapu sisili maso sue ina fo ia le mafo forward tangata. Ia tu samalona balefenga I male tua. Nā la ua watu nai tau le lea. Ia longo nai lava le anganga maua lalo foi. Ia ona ua salatonu ia le laoro lato whainga malanga. I la tato platform nei si ufongo tau Full Radio Samoa. Fo mo le ava noa tato taltala noa ai. Ia ma whalongolongo foi I ngā yo I ngā le nganga o le tua I lo lato soifua. Tauni alofa le tua ia manuia lo lato whamoe las whalele. Ia ma pefu o se fatu e pa u le la lato tau mwhainga. Ia wafo ia la tatu o tunu. O le whaopoponga I la tatu prokalama I le aso nei e pei o le melena lena whai I te atu o le amataina ia la tatu prokalama manai tau lea ia. Le tāua o le lofa. Le tāua o le lofa. E pei ona malamalama tātou I le tāua ma le whaavae o le DNA I le ola ma le soifua o le tangata ola. E whapena ona te tauan tātou talia le tāua ma le basic ma le fundamental ma le forensic o le lofa. I lo tātou wangaia ina o le tua malona finangalo na tawala mai a Yesu Kiriso. Pelana whea tumomua, o le lofa le tala noa ia Ioane, o le lofa le lofa ai I le tangata I le istangata, la te ainga, la te so o tau au whaatasi, la tau te ngalulua whaatasi, mele tau tātou le whalofani. It's not necessarily alofa, but o le civility, o le awa whatawhata, o le whetausiai, o le whalofani. So ele o le alu e tuli le tamai mamoe lea na se a o le sau e whatala noa ma tausi le iwa sfuruiva lea na tutoi le pā. Ele o le alu e mai le atali i le to tasi lea na wha maumaua oa le ainga. A o le toe sau e toe fono ia lo la vā ma le atali matua lea na mataua ina ua fo'i mai le tama lea. So whamaila le li o lau polo ingal nei a tautou ia o tau whalawhani. So o le tu inga alo whala nā ma le whaopopongal nā o le tātou po kalamaila nei vai aso. Which i loo manatu o se mea pitusili ona whaingatā. Mo i lātou e o lātou uso, tua whawhine. Ia e se ale le alofa ma le whalawhani e fia mana o mia o e ni o tau nofo le lei ai. Wa tangata ia sa tau wola mai whatasi. Sa e o tau whi ese inga. Na i loa e leisi, vai vainga o leisi. Ia le ta uso ai o tau. So whamaila ia Ioane. O le polo ingal nā le li i on tangata. O le whalawhani. A o tau whalawhani. O nei loa la ia tangata o tau o uso. A o tau whetausiai. O nei loa la ia tangata. O tau tangata o suli o le malo. E lo manatu ina o tala noa mai nai tama ia i la latou fou movement. O le mele nā na latou i loa i tutonu o le whalpuipui. Mele lana nato I te ina ina ua I tono o le to ese. Ina ua pese I ese filo o lo sui whatasia o mai lato e ui ina ese lato rags. Blood, cribs, ese lato kengi. Ana atu lava I tono o le whalepuipui. O na I te role ia mai loa I lato ma discerne I lato. Le mele su ia whatasia I lato. Le alofa lea le efe mai e whetausia I ai. Le aro lofa ai tangata Samoa, East tangata Samoa, regardless of gang affiliation. O mena lena fina ngalo I ele li. So atu wala I se whesao, pe ua whai e nai tau le lea I ele wharpuipui. Le usita I e tauna usita I ele kerisiano e muli muli I le li. O le ale na, o le whalofani. O le alofa o le istangata I le istangata for no other reason other than o so o le li'i o tamiti Samoa pese I ele fesota inga na so a whapela I se whaopoponga I le tātou I Outou Manuia o le nā who do you love? Pero fesili na at the end of the day that is really what matters ia wa fesili na o ia te alofa I ai ia ele mamao le alu o le lofalna e amata la il falfani ia a falfani loa ia ona whaingofia la ia ona I loa e tangata o tātou tangata o le tua. One of the other things that I noted in the interview le whata o matunei o le reference I le tua which is something that's very interesting e pe o la tātou le nā bailiwick o le tātou le nā matawhaioi o le tosi le nā leo lo o tosi ai a tātou mei le I Outou Manuia o le tio ata le nā o lo o tātou tanga I ai I le soifua le ola o le fina ngalo o le tua me lana maua mai nai tau le lea ia e pe ele I maua I lātou le fina ngalo o le tua a o whaiatu o lātou mātua e o I le lotu a o tapena I lātou I tai ao a sosae ave ia o ngā sosae e pe ele I maua I lātou le fina ngalo le tua. Ana maua I lātou. Ina ua tuu I tutono le potu le nā pomo mo. Luas ful dolu I tu lao le aso. Ia o na lātou I loa I la I o le tua. So, I suppose em whaina tātou surmise and say e loa ese le tangata le tua I teimi ese. E peise I ele o avesea ia le whaali mai pea o le tua I le tangata I le teimi ma le teimi ia e se temi tātou te whaalongo ai I lana whetalai mai. Le vana mo le la au tala le whaumatia wa ale whaumatia, who knows how long that thing's been burning. Wa le whaumatia. Ai ana le afe I fo mose le fiafilena. Ana le ite mose pele o ia se mea ina. Ese manu le fidifidia o ia le tua te tailona nu. So ele manatu tau fo ina ia se vaipa no lo soifua malo wola. E te tanga ia I se la au tala ua leva o mu ele I whaumatia. Se telefonia te tauna e whaia. A phone call you need to make, a relationship that you need to repair. Maybe you have to do your taxes, something that you've postponed for so long, something so inconsequential, something less heroic. I've talked about this before. How many times do you enter your house? Whawhiona e urufale ma urufafo I lo fale. So e taua lava la le whatufunga o e a urufale lo I le fale. Whaisau upu whamanuia. Po ia tangata o I le fale. Honey, I'm home. Outou Manuia. Oto le manuia mo tangata. Po ia la tangata iai. Ia. Ele se o le na o lana ia tali e a mata ia na. Ana whasalalaunga po ana podcast. O le upule o le bang bang. E a mata lo lava. Ia on whaari rero na ingo of my bang bang. So se me whapena, se me whatau waa whapena, ape se I o lona winga, ia Outou Manuia. O lona winga, e fina ngalo le tua ia te Outou, ia Manuia. O lona winga, o le ofo lofa atu. So am whai ona amata ona whatufunga o I se whatufunga na whapena. Ia ona amata la ia ona e loa le tua, e mori mawina le tua malona alofa. Ia na improve o le o lo langa. E wa pe o whamamoena o le tatou I o mantua, o I Outou mantua, ia Outou Manuia, I leva yaso ma leva yaso. Ia, ma le segment munmuri la o le tatou episode, o le practical application. E pe ia le manatu a tatou sa ili I upo ana fionga ma tatou mauani nai insights. Ai ale mawhai e tātou on apply. Ia ona manatu lea ua tautua penga I le tātou whamoe. Mai te tau fo ina I nisi me e whaonga I le tātou teimi. Ia o le tātou practical application la. Mele o le lofa. Mele o le lofa. Mele na utala noa I nai tama ia. Wa ofisili manei I le di leo bell o le ale. Ma whawhaunga fo I le community. Ia no whaatua la ia skeptical the community. O te le lopo wa wawela utali. Tui o na fo I la talata o I le whatu o tatou community. A besi o le tali lava na o mai o le nā. Ia se whai. E be a skeptical tatou I nai me fōu ia. Nai me ele masani ai. Ia mai le mawhaia o na peti uma ia la tātou chips I lunga o le metasi. Ia wai le fo e fōu mai. Ia le fo e tatitia ia le tele fo I o whalapa patonga. O lo tau mwhailawa ngā ruenga e tasi. O le ala ngā ruenga o tau mwhaile whamapopo le tātou o tunuu. A tangia fina ngā lo le tua. Ia mawhatupu le lofa. Whealofani e tātou ia mawhasoaswani fo I nisi o tātou uso lo maftia. So o le mea la o le manu lau ti o ilo, o le mea ne o le first principles. Wa e ia mea ia ta o first principles. First principles e pe o tulafono o le taimi ma le no foanga. E pe o mea nae e lefe silingia, o mea nae o pito silia o na moi, nei lo mea lava. Ia o no fola mo mawhau I le isu le nai tau le e malato event. Ia e mawhai au tatou apalai e first principles. o our first principles. Ia e uma fo I le ola tangata. Le fu o taru taru fo mai le 2021. Ia si tatou mata I tu po feangi I le matangi lea. A tatou support pea wa ele o nisi o tatou tangata. Tino maa ano. Wai tu fo I last names o tangata. Ia o tatou ingoa lava. So atonu o I o ngafa ia tatou te whailoa iai. Ia e pe sa ese tatou I la matanga. O le example o le mele first print. Ina ua manao Elon Musk e whai le SpaceX. Whai ni lo keti e ave lunga ai tangata I le vatetea. Whamai le tala na ia mawaina o taunga talo keti. Ia ona whaila I o lana tala, oi o whawhewhea na taunga talo lo keti. O a ia materials e whao ngā e whawaile lo keti. Ia ona whaila ia le recipe, whaile lisio ingredients me umalawe whimna mi e whawaile lo keti. E whai whona lana lisi, ma cost I whona prices. E loa ia, lei o le, ese le tau le lo keti, tau mo I lava lo keti. Ese le tau le whaatawai lo keti. Tau mo mai le first principles. So, whaudo la walanga la lo keti a wafo e tangu fia tu le whau e ia lo keti. Nei lo le whaatau e ia lo keti mai. Sisi company aircraft na whaia lo keti. Ia le la iei nei company le o le SpaceX. Tangu fie. Alu ilunga ma mai tangata. Recycle I le fuselage le se me mu ilunga pe atu e sau ilalo. O te lea ia wha poponga. Alu winga lo tala. A whai mai se si ate oe I se manatu. E te tawana e alu le first principle. A whai mai se si ate oe a lofa I ate oe. Ia tawana e fesili. Ia se ia mai po a sa o le mea. A whai mai se si ate oe lela a whai le mea lea. Ia le mea mo lawe tauna e alu le first principle. Ia se tatou wa ai. Se tatou mata I tu. A whai mai tangata o le oe ate ia le finangalo le tua. Ia o le first principle lava o le tatou wō I fesili. You know, o I le tua, o feo I le tua ani whaailonga, tu mai se I o upai I lona lima, lo itu, o na vae, peo le winga nao le manatu le first principles. E ia upu moni e le mawhaia I tatou, o na violate pe olengia, pe pelongia. O first principles la na. O le tua ai o le tua, o tangata. Peo nai me momoa na siaki e pe awha mai se si wana I lo le tua. Ia ona tatou I loa ai lea po whea moni lava o taati ai le upo moni. Ia, o le first principle nā tui.
Skeptical. Nā mea ringa maua tangata e tua I ngā rangona I kau make pe tau when we feel skeptical. Pe na ona mai le mea lea whaamonu nei tamai. I tatu whisidia o le bottom line o ngai mea unga. Po whea o ta o toa le mea tau o le consideration between you and me, us and others. So o le reality aka ki koe kilo ai le mea po whea o ko ai le decision making ana tangata. That's how I interpret the word love. O lea, ina ua sao le decision making. Ina ua sao le whaatau o tangata, ma sao lana whai. So that's how I feel. E lainga feel skeptical le tangata. E whai aturo se mea fōwha pe, ai ranga tatau whape tato. We have to. E kaunga ko mata I tuina mea.
Io, pe o le, I guess for mai tangata o le skepticism e le se me le lei. Pe se me wha le tonu, pe se me leanga, e beona o whai tama ia. Lei o o le whailonga le nā o le community alo lo whamoni I a te Outou. E le pe o mea tampapa e te ia o mai, oh, very nice. That's very nice, brown boy.
Yeah.
Na ara boy mai la ia e le o iloa tātou ia. Ia isi mea lai tua. I think it's a coping mechanism. Ila wa ngā luenga, e se le tele o tangata whau mātou te whailoa, I'm sure whapena fo I o dou. I am so tired of loving different people. Because if you're not mia le break, if you're not mia le vacation, if you're not mia le alu I le mea tuufua, le tio fo I le li I alu le mea tuufua. I say, ia wa e tu I lava e tangata I teimi uma. Ma tangata fo I lava, ia o lo winga ana o tangata. Ele, if you're rolo tātou e tau tāwhiofi, le mātou a ministry, o si tamauli, o si Mexico, o si homeless, o si drug addict, si gang member, ia tu I ala whaiwhi au. So, if you're not mia me tu fu so o le coping mechanism la le skepticism. Wa afa pe e alu pe lava o e tali tonu umai me umai fa me tangata ia o leva na sa eleva. I'll fight long in our community, a healthy community.
Yeah.
Skepticism.
Wai, e te tawhuna mai a tātou sea wanoa, introduce mai se mea whaua. Iei whuna lisi mea o le kako. Ia mero se mea whaua e waweare oso iei. Instead o le koe ai mato e mataitu. Anga sawa o mea whaunga o soro. Ai munmuriangi. Tāua fu rāni mene, tāua le mea o le mataitu o mea. Mai tasi lea mea masanya o le mea le winga leo tatu tangata Samoa. Le no fua tangata Samoa ma to e tu ulalo le mawhauwhaunga o resi tangata Samoa. Ai wo tilo ma uanga I me e maua so se community. So se mea I kia biai e wheo lolo fo le whaakukala o tangata Samoa o tangata Filipinga. Misi ko inga so e ala nga fa pea to inga mafofong o tatu o le tatala le baai o le tatala le baai ia me fula le fa pea la tatu le uta ua tatu o le Christians peisa ka kumia umai le o ongo tatu as Christians ai ana tatala le baai po le me ka o musalimi le are me ka ole ia ka kuanga I lore upula ka ke mol fer fan alo fatu alo famai e me o refe oe e vala au atu oe mai vala au mai o oe atu o le tauanga o mea nei e te tau o ka kuwa vai o ngale se mea ka ki kau piutinga o ngimi o communities e fau masoloi mea lelei ai sile tu ina fau masoloi mea tau faleanga o mea ia e le mawhai no tatu o ese I believe that's part of our human nature kau ke fiu a pawara me fai ignore full I'm sorry ignore me le kakau o nga fo ai fai le mea mo for the healthy community e adu foi ka ko vai le mea tau mo fai atu ase mea ai sau ale mea ka ka fa leanga se mea ka mo fai kwase mea ile lei ai le ai aka ko malama rola o winga I o suifo e fengo fielo le ka ko fiero la ile kusala po ka para vor mai e ta mai fai mai ka la ka fa leanga tu I ma o ai ke lo esta ka ro itatu o kilo le mo fa mo that's I feel how we should build many communities. Ele fengo fie.
O mantuina le li fala Filippo malo no uso Nathaniel. Sau Filipo I ana te ni lufa mai wo o maua le Mesia. O le tangata e sau mai Nazareta. Fa mai nata ni e fa whiwhianga kupu mai se mere lei Nazareta. Skeptical. E ni a whale li. Sau lo nata ni ru le li. Tau rola ia le li ila identity o nata ni ru. Tau rola ia ele li ile mea mo I lava e tau le nata ni ru. La identity o nata ni ru. O le tangata Iuteia Israel ata li o Aper Amo suli o le whenga inga ele aise pepelo. Tangata to feo na tu. Fa mai lo le nata ni ru le I o whena e loa iau. O whena e loa iau. Fa whena e loa o identity lea. Le lang na uva aia o I lalo le matia o le pala au Filipo I ate oi. So e need tatou le fast forward or template le na. Ina ia handle ai e pe ona handle le li I le skepticism that's in our community and in our world. A tatou va aila ia o le tangata e matuala talata I le tua le li. Tangata na te loa uma ia suanga o sua ai le tangata. Malama lama le saikolosi o le tangata. Le pale whengai ma le whesota ingo Filipo malona uso. Malama lama le li ni to tangata. I think o le mena tauna whaatufunga ina I o tātou taitai. Tauna whaatufunga ina o tātou taitai e mate ia le keriso o lo I tutonu o tātou tangata Samoa. Ia ona si ila ia ma acknowledge le mele na. Ia. Mai nei loro lava e natani e rua I loa e le li ia. Ia e le ito e masepu lava. Uma I alona ola I whatutuanga. I suppose o le mena ala I o na o tangata I le ngarua ngā le tuma uma I o lato wola, matiti vai, whano ai, po whele me whano ai. Ono lea, ona I loa e le tua lato. E ma whaifo ina comfortable lato le revealing o la lako identity I le tua. And they're okay. Ia pe se tosi le nai le mele skepticism. Yeah. And the big skeptic of all ia le li whale le o Outou Masi. O te leta li tonu langa uwha mai Outou. A le pa I au lima le mena tutu I e whao. Tu urok tamatama I lima I lona I tu le mena sunu I e le tau. O te leta li tonu. Ia o le memo mua lavang overcome ai le li. O le tali na. Le wa watu ne e lima wha mai toma. Ia, se sawe a mailo tamatama I lima e tu I lo I tu. So that's really the minimal. That's really the minimal le overcome ai e oi objection. O le tali sa o lava o le mele nae mana o I e tangata. O le alme mana o I tangata. Se fia tango I o lima, fia tu ulon tamatama I lima. Ia na watu rola ia si tango maila. Se a maila tamatama I lima.
Ia, au le si fo I tu o tupe. E le se meleanga fo.
The skepticism.
Yes. E le se meleanga.
Le se meleanga.
E pior te fo I le fo le va ai fa tu o tangata. E pi fela toma. Fin le aka ke fai tau le ang kwa lang fai ang ka toma ma le ka ko. Ai le ton fo na toma I longa ku le le. E fa fo nga o nga ka ku le me o ni. O le fai ta una o lona le leila ia te fai ta o Iesu am ia. Ia tangata le va ai mai. A te ton. Yeah. O le fale au.
And I think everyone that has access to that tool, o tool, o le talitonu e au noa ma le vai, has access to God's will, or part of it. E whai lau tala I tangata umai e whai apisi nisi, ma lo latou le mauti noa pe successful or not. Whai lau tala I tangata I that dabbled in Bitcoin ma le Ethereum. la fai e latou ma lo latou le iloa o le isi lea la asanga i te latou le interneti. This is Internet 3.0. E whai lau tala i tangata o lo latou miti ina i le lumanai, e le o malamalama i le tangata nei. Pe tautua o penga fo i pe pa o papa i le whaalongo le tangata nei i se lumanai. O lo ta o mai e tangata i e whaatua e o noa malwaai. O se oso tele na mo tatou. Wa ina la e whanau mai e manatu ia e o mai le teimi e Palestine e le United States se Samoa. Ia a whanau longo i tangata e le tal tonu iai a tonu te tonu nisi. Ia e mo tatou wa ia e whatuatua e au noa malwaai. Ia e pe un malofa le na enjoy e tatou. Ia le o langa i le lumana i le teimi nei. Nei lo le lape la pea i me o lo tutupu nei. Ia ma le tua na i le o mawhaiona whasa loto i tatou. Ia. O te manatua le a whaamaua i le tatou la langa. Vel nei avanoa e molte le tua i le whaafitai. I le fionga le whaatonu e tusai fo i le soasoane mai le tatou prokalama i le nei aso. Sa whainga tāfo i le tu whatasinga o nai tau le lea ia. Ia le au o maua le avanoa. Ia so tai mai fo i le whaatonu ia le o whaingofia ia le tatou interview nei. Te talo ia maua pea ia lo to mai ma whalau te leina e le tua le te tala ina o lo mafofau. Ia a wafo isi lumanai o loo fetuleni mai mo i tatou. Ia a le teimi nei ia manuia tele le tatou atunu i so se mea o loo nopia i ai ma whawhongwhonga mai ai. Ia i manuia tele o tau ngā ruenga a whaifu e se pati ua sala po o se manatu ua so ona lafo. Ia mangalo mai ia le au ona. Ia le teimi le nei ia manuia tele le whaasaunga o le tatou atunu u Samoa o le tau o ona o Misipouena Tagaloa. Ma i Outou Manuia.
Mai le vavau I le whaavavau tu mau oe o le papa e le malue lue lo uolo mawalunga o te sao ai mai le malosi o le itamai mai le vavau I le whaavavau tu mau oe o le papa e le malue lue lo uolo mawalunga o te sao ai mai le malosi o le itamai lo uanganga whamanu ma whawhetai o le atua o le vavau na te umau oe si ia e lo leo malanga elelei oe Hilafia e ia o umanatu Le tua le maunga, le tua le vanu Bua bua pea O lo le lei Le lei mea uma No uanganga Whamanuma whawhetai O le atua, o le vavau Na te umau